What is spiritual aftercare and why is it important? Well, Daiti Agus Fáilte. Hi, hello, and welcome. Jon O'Sullivan from the Irish Pagan School here. And this is less of a chat and like conversation about something that we find interesting and more of a actual check-in and make sure that we're all doing okay. Um, so spiritual aftercare really, it's important from time to time to, as my Laura would say, go back and look at things with a beginner mindset. As in, go back to the fundamentals, reassess our practices from the basics, from the ground up, and make sure that we haven't had any bad habits slip in or we're not missing anything in our regular routines that can actually be supporting and helping us, as opposed to undermining or hurting us. So this becomes extra relevant when we have engaged in ritual practice or meetups or energetic workings, anything like that at all. Now, it happens like, or energetic shifts in the seasons. When I'm recording this, we're coming up on the summer solstice here in Ireland, but this applies with any other of the seasonal shifts, equinoxes, solstices, fire festivals, as we record them in the Irish pagan tradition, Imbolc, Bealtaine, Lunasa, and Samhain. Now, these kind of shifts in energy can lead to energetic highs, resonances. I don't know if you've ever stood in the same space with other people engaged in, say, drumming, dance, chanting, something like that at all. And as we begin to synchronize with other people, we begin to feel our energy swell. This is quite common practice. And even if you don't believe in magical practice or spiritual engagements, there is a resonance or a frequency that we can attune to as a collective group of human beings that gives a buzz that we can really vibe with. And I'm not even, I'm stumbling over my words here because it is hard to explain from time to time unless you've actually stood in those circles, in those kind of gatherings and experienced it. The kind of energetic baseline that you live at on a daily basis is blown through the roof because you're engaging in a synchronizing energy experience with other people. And this can lead to a ritual or energetic high. Like it's amazing. It's a fantastic experience. You feel connected with yourself in so many different ways, but also connect with others, connect with the land, and connected with divinity, if that is part of the practice. Now, what can happen after that is a post-event low. The energy kind of slumps. We're no longer connecting with other people, and we are then back to just being ourselves within our own regular routine. We go away, we engage in a full moon ritual, or we go to a gathering or a conference, and we come back from that, and suddenly we're back in our mundane, we're back in our day to day, and everything seems to be a little bit grey. Everything seems to be a little bit dull. Now, this is quite common and it is quite normal because not everyone can exist in those high frequencies of experience and synchronicity all of the time. That's not our natural state. In fact, engaging in a chanting or a drumming or anything like that is engaging in an unnatural energy synchronicity. So, yeah, there is going to be fallout. There is going to be a requirement for aftercare or some form of process that we go back to engage in a healthy, regular routine of our own sense of self and sense of need, really. It's acknowledging the needs of ourself, not just spiritual needs or energetic needs, but also physical needs, emotional needs, mental needs, etc. So, why is this important? Why is a conversation about spiritual aftercare important? Why is it important to have some kind of routine of practice on a regular basis? It's to avoid the extremes, really. It's to soften out those highs and those lows. Because if you don't have some way of engaging in a healthy, regular spiritual practice for yourself, you could become addicted to that ritual or energetic high. And if you have been around other people in certain spiritual communities, you may know that person. They're always there. They're always driving for like, let's do this. Let's. They're always the person who is trying to get the group to do a ritual, go to full moon. Let's do a dance. Let's do a chant. Not in a enthusiastic kind of let's share and do some workings together, more in a desperate need to engage in some form of ritual activity. not the safest, really. And I've have unfortunately come across people who have been hurt by this and burnt by this. I was called many years ago. Someone I knew called me out of the blue and was like, "Listen, something's gone wrong with the working group I'm in. We've been doing a lot of monthly gatherings, a lot of moon work, a lot of like, energy raising, um, but something feels off." And then I asked a simple question of like, "Well, what are you doing with all the energy?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, what is the release at the end of that? You're gathering, you're generating all this energy, but where is it going? Like, what is the direction that you're channeling that energy?" And she said, "We're all just giving it to the person who's driving the group, who's leading us in these practices." I was like, "Well, okay, well, what are they doing with the energy?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Okay, well, there's your problem. You're engaging in a regular energetic practice. You're directing all of this effort and energy towards a particular individual without clarity as to what change you're driving in the world, what effort you're trying to overcome, or what kind of safety or peace or creation you're trying to manifest in these things." And I was like, you kind of have fallen into a toxic or addictive or energetic behaviors here. This individual has centered themselves in your group to be fulfilled or to be charged by the energetic activities of everyone else. It was a hard conversation to have. It really was. It wasn't easy for me because I'd raised worries about it before. I was like, well, who is this person? And, where are they coming from? What are they doing? And when I had raised those queries before at that time, my friend was not in a mindset to receive that information or to be or open to query. They were feeling that vibe of like we're doing things. And I was like, okay, well, if you ever need me, you know when to call. And, I'm really glad I did have that approach to it because it meant when things did go wrong, they knew who to call. Um, Now, the other side of it is people who are kind of not able to get outside of themselves. Like there's one side of it, the other one extreme is the people who chase that ritual high. They're always trying to chase or generate or and siphon energetic activities. The other side of it is the person who is so disconnected from their energy self or their energy kind of process, they don't know how to generate. They don't know how to synchronize with other people outside of themselves, and they end up like stuck in a solo practice, and then they begin to doubt themselves, and then they have spiritual experiences but they don't have any process to rationalize that out, and everything becomes a cycle of I don't know, how do I, or who am I? And so that's the other end of it. I'm punching a microphone here because it's right in front of me. I apologize, folks. um that's the other side of that spectrum, really, where people don't have a regular practice to realize or to engage in. It's much like going to the gym. If you're going to go to the gym, you're not going to just go in out of nowhere and lift the 25 kgs off the rack and just do a set of 50. You will absolutely destroy yourself. But also, if you are going to go to the gym and you're picking up 2 kgs and you're doing them like, I'll just lift them for like five and then put them down, you're not doing enough to actually grow. You're not doing enough to engage in what your body needs to progress. And so it is about having some kind of regular practice, some kind of process that you engage in on a regular basis that allows you to have, in essence, a spiritual workout in the same way as you would have a physical workout, a mental workout, or an emotional workout. So this is really the solution at the end of it, like a regular daily practice that you define for yourself, which acknowledges all of your needs. Now, I recently did some work for a community I was working in. I'm very delighted, I was very honored to do so, but I didn't kind of realize the impact of what I was doing in the moment of it. I was asked to monitor a safety security space and to build a bit of like supportive energy for the community, and I was like, yeah, of course, I can absolutely do that. But it kind of put me on guard to energetically hold the entire space for 93 people. Um, I did it. Absolutely. Everyone had a great night. Um, and I'm really grateful that I was able to do that. But in the aftermath of that, I'm realizing I'm exhausted. My body is aching at me. My body is telling me that, I don't have enough nutrients to support me. I don't have enough sleep to support me. And my mental health and my emotional well-being are depressed, and I am actually struggling a little bit, which is why I'm making this video as well. This video for me as much as my community, because the only way to get through these kind of lulls, these lows, these after effects is by going back to basics, going back to, okay, well, making my coffee, pouring one out for the Dagda and having a conversation with him about it. Getting out on a day every morning and taking the walk, even if I don't fucking feel like going for the walk, because that's a physical requirement of my body and healthy engagement there. You know, putting down the crisps and the chocolates because that's very short engaging foods. It's like I would love if I could I did just eat ice cream the entire day, but that's not going to give me the nutrients I need to move beyond this state I'm in. And then it is around, making space for my mindset. Don't just fall into the phone scrolling kind of stuff. Try and read a book. Even if you can't get to what you normally would do, or my creative writing, any of that kind of stuff, which I'm struggling with at the moment, it's doing something, feeding the brain, inspiring the interest, and engaging with then other people who support in that, other people who see that. So I'm very fortunate. I have my Laura, a couple of best friends that I know I can talk to about anything. Um, but it is being present in those and seeing what you need to maintain a regular basis of things. Like our bodies can go into extremes. We can go to extreme adrenaline. We can go to extreme dopamine. We can do all of these extreme things, but we can't live there. Our body needs to bring it back to what's called homeostasis, a need for balance within self across the board in every aspect, biologically speaking, neurologically, emotionally, all of it. We strive for a sense of stability, solidity, and balance. So engaging in energetic workings, engaging in rituals, absolutely, it's brilliant. Go in, be involved. If you have the right community, yeah, absolutely. If you've got the right people directing it, people that you can know, like, and trust, people who are authentic and who can stand up to your questioning, absolutely, engage in those practices because it will stretch you to grow and to go and to grow beyond your sense of self. But be aware that again, that need to come back, that need to harmonize and find balance. Everything has that after effect. What was it? There was a TV show and it was like magic has a price theory. Everything has a price. Everything has some form of, even down to Newtonian physics, it comes back in balance. Forces act in equal and opposite directions. There's a lot of different things that we can look at for examples of this, but fundamentally speaking, if we don't conscientiously take time for self, take time for regular, healthy, supportive routines, especially after we've done something big, be it, physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, then we're not going to balance that out right. We're not going to return to a sense of stability. We are going to crash. And so, yeah, I think to give you something to focus on then towards the end of this, ask yourself the question, what is my regular daily practice that acknowledges my needs? And then break those needs down into like the four aspects of self, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Grab a piece of paper and a pen, or whatever it is. Break it down into those categories. What does my body need? What does my mind need? What do my emotions need? And then what does my spirit need? Ask yourself those four questions, and then don't put it into, oh well, I'll need to do that full moon ritual when that comes around, or I'll need to honor the solstice when that rocks in at the weekend. Make it about tomorrow. Like wherever you're seeing this video or hearing this audio or whatever it is, tomorrow. What tomorrow? What thing can I do tomorrow? Or what four things can I do tomorrow that will support those four aspects of self, those elements of who I am? And then try and make those things a sustainable daily thing. For my mental health, I have a shower every day. That comes from struggling with functional depression for many years in my life. And so I committed myself that when I get out of bed, I make the bed behind me, so I'm not getting back into it. And I get my ass in the shower. No matter what, I get my ass in the shower. And that is a commitment. But it's also then couples with my physical self, my physical self-care. If I can care for my body in that way, it helps with caring for my mind in that way. But then also over the years, I've been able to build in a practice of spiritual cleansing, like letting go of the previous day, allowing the water and the energy to shed what's not serving me. So I become safer and cleaner when I come out of that shower, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And it can be as fundamental as that. It could be a coffee offering for a deity. It could be, sitting with an ancestor for a moment. It could be getting your ass out, walking a dog, or hugging a tree, whatever it is, putting your feet in the grass. There is something that, if you think about it, ticks your boxes, ticks your personal boxes for energizing stability and sense of balance. So carve out space for that. Make time for that, whatever that thing is. And if you're not sure what it is, all you got to do is ask yourself the question, what does my body need? What does my mind need? What do my emotions need? And what does my spirit need? So hopefully this has been interesting for you. Hopefully this has been an insight. As I said, I'm literally going through this at the moment. I'm asking myself those questions and I'm trying to live to what I need to get done. I'm recording this after having a walk today. I went and I bought the meds that I need from the pharmacy, which is great. I made my coffee and the offering to the dag, the conversation that I always do with that. And I'll probably go and try and read a book after this to try and feed my brain. But look after yourself and know that no matter how challenging things are, the way to see it through long term is to have a regular, daily, consistent practice that acknowledges your needs of your total self. Okay? So if this has been interesting for you and you want to know more about Irish paganism, spirituality, culture, history, we have a whole lot of information. Go to irishpagan.school/free. A lot of information available there for you. We've got classes and courses to take. My Laura did a video. I keep saying my Laura. I'm sorry. Laura O'Brien, my partner, did a series of videos in our YouTube as well about, fundamentals, back to basics, energy processing, and I would recommend looking those up too. So until next time, look after yourself. Take care. Agus slán.